Okay, are we ready, council members? Okay,
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
thank you. All right. Welcome to the RDA meeting at 5:15 Tuesday, June 18th, 2024. I was going to say June 28th, but we're not there yet. I would like to excuse Councilmember Paul Pickett and Councilwoman Rosalba Dominguez, and everyone else is here, Mayor, Brooke, GL, Jennifer. Thank you. First thing I need is the approval of minutes of May 21st, 2024. Do we have any questions or corrections from those minutes? No? Then would you like to do a all?
I'll make a motion
Thank
to
you.
approve the minutes from May 21st, 2024.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Can we all do a voice vote?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Okay, so then we have citizen comments. Public comments can be made in person. Where's my goodness? All comments are limited to 3 minutes or less, and please come to the podium, and Patty has the clipboard. Yep, she's over there in the rust red, whatever your guys, look at their color, your different colors for everyone. If anyone has any citizen comments? Okay, it looks like we have no citizen comments, so we will close that. We will go on to public hearing, consideration of a resolution adopting the proposed redevelopment agency budget for fiscal year 2024-2025. Brenda Moore is presenting.
Okay, we'll go through this pretty simply, quickly, I hope. The redevelopment agency budget. Let's get this. I'm using Zach's computer, so, okay. Fire clay area, the budget consists of revenue tax increment of 1.9 million, interest of 237,000. We've got the expenditures split up, low and income moderate housing, 350, private reimbursements, the Murray School District, professional services, that's just for miscellaneous stuff that comes up, admin fees, and then the utility reimbursement that goes to, most of it is going to solid waste. I had to remember which one of them it was. We don't really have anything planned for the low moderate income housing. That is just the amount that increment will generate towards low and moderate income housing. Smelter site, no tax increment being received. They should get interest of around $95,000. We're spending down their low income, moderate income housing numbers for the homeless shelter contribution that we have to do, and just put a number in there for any other projects we have. Murray School District will not get any money off of this. Professional services, their admin fees went down. And I redid the LED street lighting because that project has not been completed yet and probably won't be. The lights are on order. East Vine Street, it's going to collect about $58,000. We are doing helping with the Vine Street bike lane road resurfacing project for the area that's in front of them. Trey estimates that's about $125,000 worth of expenses. Cherry Street, no tax increment. It's going to pay $30,000 in admin fees, and then we're going to find something else to do with the rest of it to improve that street down there. The Central Business District, tax increment of 1.1, interest of approximately $47,000. We are still getting rent on a few properties over there. The general fund is transferring $325,000 to pay for this land. There's a couple more years of that. Expenditures, Murray School District gets a straight $400,000 no matter how much we collect. Professional services, that's so we can do things like what we're doing over there at the Townsend House. Admin fees, miscellaneous, same thing. Travel, that's to the ICSC, and then the bond property for the payment for the bond. And that is it. That's the budget for the RDA. Any questions?
So we open this to citizen comments, okay? Citizen comments, fill out the form provided by Patty. State your name and your city of residence, and you have a limit to 3 minutes. Unless you are here for a bigger group, you will have 5. Is there any citizen comments? Okay, seeing there's no citizen comments, I will close the citizen comments and I will bring it back to the council. Council, do you have any questions for Brenda at this time?
I don't. I'm ready to make a motion.
Then I will take the motion.
All right, I would like to make a motion to adopt the proposed redevelopment agency budget for fiscal year 2024-2025.
Do I have a second?
I will second.
Okay, we have a first by Councilwoman Turner, and we have a second by Councilman Adam Hawk. Turn it over to Brooke.
Ms. Turner,
Aye.
Mr. Hawk,
Aye.
Ms. Cutter.
Aye. Thank you for doing that. Thank you, Brenda. Our next agenda item, is presentation and discussion on a potential plaza to be located adjacent to the Townsend House, Murray Mansion, and Kuhu House, Zachary Smallwood, and Chalet? Welcome.
Yeah, I'll just do a quick introduction.
Yeah, that would be great.
Earlier this year, we had spoke about not moving the Townsend House, just based on how much it was going to cost. And then also speaking to a landscape architecture firm about doing some sort of plaza around the mansion and the Townsend House. So we've been working on that with a few stakeholders. We had Parks and Rec and a few citizens. They also had some conversations with some other key stakeholders as well. And so now we're here to kind of show you the final concept. So I'll turn it over to Chalet, and she can go over it with you all. So yeah, I'll turn the time over to Chalet.
Just with this one picture, it looks awesome. Just the first picture.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. As Zach mentioned, my name is Chalet Larson. My firm is IO Landark. We specialize in community revitalization through historic preservation, outdoor recreation, and creative placemaking. We've been part of the ongoing revitalization in Ogden for 15 plus years now and continue to do work with the city. We're also working with South Salt Lake, a fun art loop in Springville right now. So it has been just such a pleasure and a privilege to work with Zach and Phil and Elvon on reimagining this part of Murray. I think it really has the potential to really be the heart of the city and an amazing gathering space for the community. So with that, I will go ahead and sort of walk you through the process that we went through to get to this point, and then explain some of the finer points of the design. So just a really quick overview of the process. Again, as Zach mentioned, we identified some key stakeholders and we did some one-on-one interviews with those stakeholders, moved through an analysis and programming phase into a series of iterative design concepts, and then took those back to the stakeholders for some additional feedback. And the result of that is what we have now, which is our final schematic design for the plaza. And from here, we're hoping to be able to, at some point in the future, obtain some additional community outreach and feedback as this moves forward. So just really quickly, we talked, I don't know how much you want me to get into the stakeholder process, but here are some highlights of the types of questions that we asked the stakeholders. We wanted to know what their key concerns were for this area. We wanted to understand the potential that the space had for the community. We like our magic wand question, right? If we could wave a magic wand and change one thing about this area, what would it be? And we also wanted to understand the broader context. How do the challenges that you're facing in this area impact the city as a whole? And what would be the implications of not doing anything, of just kind of continuing the status quo? And then also, of course, how do you envision people using this space in the future? And these are some, again, just a highlight of some of what we heard. So art, public art, food, music, activities, really the potential for a festival type of street, to make it a hub of activity, not just during the weekends, right? We want 24/7 activation, maybe not 24/7, but we want weekday activation, weekend activation, business day, weekend, or weekday evenings. We want to understand the connection of this space to the broader community and make it accessible to the community. We heard more park-like spaces, more dining options, more pedestrian-friendly. A couple people mentioned the grocery store. Not part of our scope, but
Excuse me,
yes.
who were the identified stakeholders?
Do you want to jump in?
Yeah, so we wanted to we wanted to get this done pretty quickly, as we had mentioned. We wanted to get this over to you guys as fast as possible, because we know Block 1 is moving forward too. So we had the rights, I think it's the rights. Yes, the rights. The rights were involved. We had Parks and Rec, so we had Kim there. We had Rowan, who staffs the History Advisory Board. We also had Lori Edmonds there, and then Clark Boland was actually involved as well.
Okay, so it was a very small.
It was very small, yeah. We didn't want to broaden this out too much and take too much time. The kind of smaller the space, or the smaller the group, the faster we could get it done. It's less schedules you have to kind of maintain here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so just to give you a little bit of context and orient you to the site. So on the bottom of this image, you see Fifth Avenue, and the central sort of spine that you see with the brick paving is Poplar Street. On the left is the Cahoon Mansion, on the right is the Cahoon House, and the upper right is the Townsend House. And so City Hall is just off the screen up to your upper left here. And initially, our scope was really just to look at the area between the Townsend House and the smaller Cahoon House. But we sort of expanded that because we felt like there was a really great opportunity here to engage Poplar Street and make that also more of a pedestrian plaza-like space, and to give you more opportunities for programming. And then also expanded it further to sort of tie everything back to the Murray Mansion and really make some better connections to City Hall here. So I will walk you through some of the design elements, starting with the main spine, which is Poplar Street. This is really our festival street space. So what we're envisioning is actually raising the grade of the street so that it's all at the same level of this as the sidewalk, which will give it more of a cohesive pedestrian scale feel. It will really, in theory, cars could drive down this. We could have conversations about whether, the pros and cons of just closing it off to vehicular traffic altogether and making it exclusively pedestrian. For right now, we're sort of leaving it open to either or. This is very preliminary at this point, but mostly to give you some ideas about the potential of this space. So you can see here we've got some upscale paving. This could be brick pavers. This could be stamped concrete, but just something to make it more tactile and more inviting to people. We're separating the street from the sidewalk with some planter areas. These could function as bioswale areas. Seating, lighting. We have more historic looking light fixtures with the ability to put banners on them. And you can see down at the terminus of this street is a key element in the design, which is a proposal to obtain a boxcar diner and repurpose it and bring back some additional restaurant space to the street and really have kind of a fun visual anchor at the end of that street. And of course, I'm overlooking the main feature of this street. The entrance to the street itself is a gateway feature, similar, inspired by this one that you see on Printer's Alley in Nashville. But the idea was to kind of have a representation of smokestacks on either side with some sort of gateway arch element through the middle of it. And we're just showing some precedent images highlighting, some of the accent paving that could happen. The bottom image is an example of an art installation that, could come in and be suspended from those poles and be over top of the street. The next area I want to highlight here is the area between the Townsend and Cahoon houses. So starting with removing the addition to the Cahoon house, which is currently the T. Rose Diner, and putting that back into what we're calling a creative cafe. So hopefully some sort of restaurant cafe use potentially going into the historic home, but then with some great outdoor seating and some kind of pergola element, and just spaces for people to hang out and gather. Moving north from that, we've identified kind of two major areas here. One is an outdoor game area that, we're currently showing ping pong and cornhole, and some outdoor chess and Jenga, but it could, again, this is very conceptual, so it could be any number of things. A major element in this design concept is actually we're proposing to bring in and adaptively reuse some smaller shed structures as pop-up shop space for startup businesses. So if you're a fledgling young business, you could potentially have a little kiosk space that you could come in and open up your doors and sell your wares during festivals and events, and to help activate the space. We're also proposing to keep and reuse the existing garage space as restroom facilities for the site, and then add a mural potentially to the west facade of that. And
Can we go back?
Mhm.
You said in the Townsend house, there was going to be a cafe shop? No? Where were you looking to put?
no,
No?
in the historic Cahoon house. So
Oh,
the
okay.
smaller house. I
Got
don't
it.
have a
Got
pointer
it.
on here. Oh, I
Fine.
do have a pointer
got it.
right here.
Okay. I was just,
It's Margaret's house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I fixed it and then resent it to you, but it didn't. But this is the older version, so
Margaret's house.
that's what I thought.
is it Margaret or
It's-
Mary?
It's Margaret.
Yeah, I was
It's
confused
okay.
about what is
I
Mary's
know.
house.
I updated it on the slide and sent it
it's
over,
okay.
but there was some iteration confusion, so
That's fine.
I apologize.
Margaret, Mary, Margaret. Hey, it's an M. Stands for Murray.
So it is corrected on a slide somewhere, but anyway, I apologize. So so in Margaret's house, we're not necessarily, what goes into these buildings is a little bit outside of the scope of our work, but in a perfect world, it would be some sort of activating use, like a cafe or restaurant.
Okay. I was,
All right, and then here is a rendered image kind of looking northeast between Margaret's house and the Townsend house. And you can see we've got some decorative light poles with some string lights over this area, a bosque of trees, an area for games. You can kind of see the mural on the garage here in the middle. And then these would be the pop-up shops here. And then just some precedent images, a precedent image of kind of the vibe that we're envisioning for that outdoor cafe space. And there's also the potential, this is not permanent, right? But there's the potential to have some fun temporary art installations also with the brick paving and be playful. And then there's just examples of game areas and kind of what we were envisioning for those pop-up shops. Any questions about the
Why-
shops? And
Why temporary art?
I mean, permanent art would be great also. So
Okay.
in a perfect world, you want a combination of both because you want the permanent art investment, but the temporary art is great because it's always changing, and so it gives people a new reason to come out, right? So, because they've seen the old art. So it's the best of both worlds. All right, and then on the north end of the street, we have allocated some space for food truck parking. This would be temporary food truck parking, so these food trucks would not be here all of the time, but the infrastructure to support them would be. So some sort of overhead pergola element with picnic tables that creates some seating for when the food trucks are here. So the food trucks could come out on weekdays for lunch, or they could be here as part of a festival. It just gives people even more dining opportunities, and again, supports those small businesses that are operating out of those food trucks, and hopefully eventually they can graduate into brick and mortar stores. And then you see the boxcar diner here, which is a more permanent infrastructure. And here are some renderings. This is again looking kind of northeast. You can see the boxcar diner in the distance, the pergola structure and picnic tables. And you can see the sort of edge of the Townsend house there. And these are just some precedent images, again, showing kind of the lively, festive feel that the space could have. It would be really inviting. And on slide, okay, so the next area we want to talk about is next to the Cahoon Mansion. And we're really not proposing anything crazy over here. We thought it would be a great addition to this space to just have the open green park-like lawn. It will allow you a very flexible space that people can overflow into during festivals and events, and it's historically sensitive to the mansion. But the only thing, oh, I'm clicking a button here, sorry. Don't know what I did. Help me, Zach. Come on.
It's fine. We all
Oh.
do it.
Oh, we were
Okay.
just at the end.
Oh, I
Okay.
just went to, I
Yeah.
clicked too far to the end. Okay. So the major addition to the space would just be bringing back some sort of historic gazebo element, which would also make for a great stage for smaller concert events, and just a lovely focal point in the landscape. So here's the rendering here, and you can kind of see how this plays into all of the other elements that are happening in this space, and then just some precedent images of sort of the park-like, ignore the playground in the background, and the gazebo. And then back to the overview of the plaza.
Thank you.
If you want to show the
Oh,
flyover.
yeah, the fly-through.
Yeah, that is just right here. So they did, as part of this, they did like a rendering that kind of flies through the area. So I can show that to you guys real quick.
Does anyone? Yeah.
No music?
No, no music.
I could sing if you want me to, but.
Yeah, limited budget. We can't afford a full choir.
I can hum.
Did you mean to have lighting in there? Oh, it's a person.
It's there.
Shh, nobody talk.
There's you, Adam, right there on the bike. Coming to council meeting.
Oops. Doing it over again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just let it play. Does anyone
Yeah.
have any questions?
Council.
Do you have a cost on this?
We have some very rough budget numbers, but maybe I'll let these guys speak to that.
Yeah, as part of this, we've had them do a cost estimate, and we can talk about that a little bit later. This is really just kind of showing you what they've been working on, and then moving forward, we'll start to have those budget discussions.
Okay, so this is just to discuss the concept.
Yeah.
Okay, when will we discuss the cost?
We can bring it up in the next RDA planning meeting and see what what the chair and vice chair want to, when they want to bring it up. As part of this, so we've been working on, with Chalet as well, a proposed public outreach, kind of like, I don't want to say scheme, but
Welcome.
yeah, welcome thing, like a welcome festival type thing, to kind of show how this will work, to get people excited for it. So in that, we'll probably start having those conversations as well.
Okay, is now the time that I can say I'm wondering if we're putting the cart before the horse?
I mean, that's up to you. Yeah, you can say, yeah.
Okay. I think we're putting the cart before the horse.
And I agree.
Could you elaborate?
I don't know about that. My concern is, I mean, I think this looks really nice, but I wonder if now's the time to make a decision on this. I mean, I know it's for discussion and not decision. But if we have a developer come in and, part of the development is this area as well, then it'll already, this area will already have been developed. And so
Well-
that's why I wonder if we're putting the cart before the horse.
So if you remember in the MCC strategic plan, this actually was called out as a plaza space and an open space. This area specifically is taken out of the Block 1 redevelopment area. It is not part of the Block 1 redevelopment area.
Oh, I didn't
I
realize.
thought it was.
Yeah,
I mean, overall, the area around it is, but this specific area, when we talk to developers, they know about this specific place. And it was shown in your guys' MCCD strategic plan as well.
Huh.
Yep, it was right there on the map.
Could we, if a developer came in to do block 1, could that developer do this?
That's a question for probably later on down the road. I don't see why they couldn't.
something like this. I mean, that's kind of what we've been wanting all along, is this kind of a development area.
Mhm.
But if we're looking at having developers come in, I just wonder if this is the right time.
The developers know about this project specifically. The developers we've been working with.
Okay.
So when they come
With-
in, sorry, can I ask them?
No, I'm
No,
sorry.
no.
Go ahead,
No, no,
Mayor.
sorry.
You go first.
Can they, so when we meet with the council members, can they bring this up?
Mhm.
Okay, that
Oh,
might be a good
definitely.
idea.
Okay.
Yeah, you can definitely bring this up. Because I believe they have seen this as well. Yep. Yeah.
I agree with you, Diane, totally. I honestly thought this was all part of block 1. That's what I thought, but. Okay,
No, so what this all resulted from, as I kind of mentioned earlier, is that it was part of the discussion of not moving the Townsend House. because it was going to cost over $400,000 to move.
Right.
And if you remember, back in that meeting, we decided, or I apologize, the board decided that we could go and look into developing a plaza space around this area instead. And that would have been part of the city's work to do that. And that's why you guys appropriated and allowed us to work with the consultant to develop this concept. So if it were putting it, necessarily the cart before the horse, that's why we've talked through this with you guys multiple times about what we were doing and what we were planning.
And this is from the meetings when you had all the tables out? Was that from this? No?
No, this has been in the RDA planning meetings and then also in front of this board multiple times, authorizing the $27,000 to spend to develop this concept.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So from day one, even going back to the Eadlin proposals in the past, there has always been a public plaza called out. And so what we wanted to do was have something established so that we can tell the developer, you've got to work around this. Okay? This is what we're going to have a public plaza in this area. And when you develop your development, your pedestrian traffic, your various, the way it flows will work in harmony with this plaza. And if we don't do planning now, we're not saying we have to build this now. We will have cost estimates. We'll have a low cost estimate, a mid cost, and a complete cost estimate, so that we can possibly do this in phases if we need to, or we can work with the developer to do this in phases, or however they would like. But if we don't establish that this area is, so to speak, reserved for public plaza, it's going to get gobbled up. It's going to just go away, and we won't have anything to show for it. And it's always been a key part of the downtown renovation.
Right, so it is the concept we're looking at. We're not considering the cost at this point, or...
We will have cost figures for you to give you an idea of what this would cost. We're not asking for a budget to build this right now. Doug made an excellent point in our last RDA planning meeting that the priority right now is Block 1 and the development of Block 1.
Yes.
And we need to focus on that. However, this is a piece of that development, just as the mansion is. We're not going to let them tear down the mansion when they develop Block 1. We're not going to let them tear down the Cahoon house or the Townsend house. And so they have to work with us on those areas. And that's primarily, we want to show what's possible for this area. That's basically what we're doing.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I'm
we're
okay
in
with
no way at a point right now where we would ask you to allocate money to build this and start working on this. This is going to come after many things are taken care of for the Block 1 redevelopment.
So we're still in the discussion phase?
Sure.
That's part of what this is about?
This is a concept of what we
Okay.
can do. This is all open for interpretation and tweaking. You won't know what the final product will look like until it's built.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. Any other questions?
So when we get into money stage, will we have an à la carte option where, because there's some things I really like and some things I'm like,
No.
I don't know how I
Chalet
feel.
she has a very detailed budget breakdown.
Okay.
And, now, and the thing is, there are estimates of each individual piece of this thing. And it's very, very detailed. It goes into utilities, it goes into pavement, the different options of the type of pavement you can have, whether it's flat concrete, if it's pavers, if it's stamped concrete. It's an extremely detailed budget document. So you'll be able to see what things cost and how that all works together.
Kind of like building a city hall.
Potentially, yes. Yes. Okay.
Can I, go ahead.
I have a question about this boxcar restaurant.
Yeah.
Is it like, what's the vision for it? Would there be sit-down dining, or is it just
I
you're
would
going
think-
to grab and then sit around the park? Like,
Yeah.
what's the vision there?
Again, it
could go-
Sure, it's open for discussion. It was an idea that tied in historically with the area, and so that's why that was proposed. Did you have?
Yeah, and I was just going to say, all of this can fluctuate between now. If you would have seen the original pictures of what City Hall was supposed to look like, you wouldn't believe we're sitting in this building.
Right.
And so things morph and change over time. This is a capture of a moment in time. And part of the reason that we were showing this today is so that the public can now start to see this and they can provide feedback on this kind of stuff. You guys can start hearing from citizens how they feel about it and what they think about it, and move forward with it.
Okay.
There are a lot of good elements here. I like a lot of things that are going on and trying to accomplish.
Mayor, did you have a
Yeah, I just want to
comment?
say, and I don't know how this is shared with you guys, but we meet every other week as an RDA and leadership, and so they've heard a lot of this stuff, and I'm not sure how, because that's not our job, is to disseminate the information. So are you getting, or I guess maybe that's up, anyway, I don't know if it's getting to you, because we have this every other week, and there's a lot of things discussed.
Yeah, I was made aware of this. I just wasn't sure that, like I said, we weren't, looking at this before we were looking at other developments and, like I said, putting the cart before the horse. So that was my concern. I was aware of this, but not really where we are in the process. So part of it I was not.
All right. Any other questions? Okay.
Do you have any other questions, Mayor?
All right.
Er-
I've got just a
Okay.
couple of updates for you, if that's okay.
And we got Phil coming for project updates,
Yep.
and this is just for information for us.
Yep.
As RDA members.
Just wanted to make sure you take a good look at the Townsend House. I don't know if you've seen it in the last couple of
Yeah, it's
days.
looking great.
The roof may be done this evening. They're getting really, really close.
Oh,
If not
we
this,
replaced the whole roof?
the shingles on the roof, yes, it's all cedar shingles now.
Oh, the whole thing?
Cedar shake shingles. It is
because I
gorgeous.
thought we were.
And that's the last thing that will be completed on the Townsend House. So that one will be done. And we're in the process of getting the grass rejuvenated. The sprinkling system was turned off during a good portion of the
IFA is
remodel.
great for that.
Well, water is the key for it right now. It's pretty thirsty, so, but we're really, really pleased with the work that the contractor did on the house. He was true to his estimate and his scope of services, and so it's worked out really well. And I did ask him to provide an estimate to do some work on the other little house, the Cahoon house. It's in desperate need of scraping and painting, and the front porch decking needs to be fixed, and just it needs to look like we care about it. So I do have an estimate for that, and that is $35,000 to work on that house. So we'll be talking about that to see if you folks are good with going ahead and sprucing that up. That's nothing on the inside, however. That's not to improve the inside. This is strictly outside appearance, but it desperately needs it if we're going to keep that. And I do have an offer from Annie Sucre from the Tea House on the chapel, those properties over there. And I will be discussing that at the next RDA planning meeting, and we can decide how to move forward with that. I'm not prepared to share that publicly right now, but she has provided an offer, and so you'll be able to consider that.
And she's the one that owns T Rose.
Well, she owns the business.
She owns
Yeah.
the business
Yes.
at T Rose.
Yes.
Okay. We just want a clarification for
Right,
those
yeah,
people
she
that
is-
don't know
Yep.
the owner's name.
Yep,
Like-
Annie does, she does run the Tea Rose out of that building there that the city owns. Okay? Any other questions on any of the other things we've got going on, or? Okay, I'll sit down. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, we have no other comments or concerns? Okay, then I will take a motion to adjourn this RDA meeting.
I motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I second.
It is now adjourned.